He either appointed a communist spy knowingly or he didn't know it. And according to your evaluation of the report that he had that is made available to him by the FBI, he couldn't have read that report and come to any other conclusion except that Harry Dexter White was a communist spy. If he's not stupid, you're bound to believe that he would have come to that conclusion had he read the report, would you not? Isn't that what you meant to imply?
I think you pretty nearly said it there, Senator.
Sir?
I prefer my own words, but I think you're getting pretty close to it.
All right.
It seems to me even more extraordinary to learn that Mr. Truman was aware as early as 1946 that a communist spy ring was operating within his own administration, when for so many years since that time he's been telling the American people exactly the opposite. Indeed, it seems to me that this explanation of White's appointment, that is, that he was appointed and allowed to remain in office for more than a year in order to help the FBI trap him as a spy, raises more questions than it answers.
The fact that the Soviet leaders now refuse to meet, even to discuss European problems, is not a sign of their strength, it's a sign of their fear. They do not dare to admit of the prospect of greater liberty anywhere behind the Iron Curtain, lest restiveness increase everywhere behind that curtain. So they slammed the door on a European conference and started diversionary talk about our being buddies with aggressor China. The Soviet rulers have now retreated into a diplomatic defensive. The free world now has the diplomatic and the moral initiative. We shall, I hope, sustain that initiative by being ready to talk about any concrete issue, whether it be in Europe or in Asia, or whether it be about armament. Persistence and strength won us an honorable end of the fighting in Korea. We must never grow weary or become discouraged in our quest for honorable settlements of concrete issues.
We are here today to talk particularly about the medical and health problems of the Department of Defense, including all the military personnel as well as civilians. The doctor draft hasn't been very popular in some ways with the medical profession, but they've risen to the occasion in a fine way. We would like to make some plans that in the long run would avoid the drafting of doctors and other technical personnel in the same class. Dr. Kasberg, Assistant Secretary, will tell you more about it.
In order to develop career incentive and keep a steady inflow of regular doctors, dentists, and nurses, it is anticipated that the Department of Defense will establish a scholarship program which they will submit as a bill to Congress. This scholarship program would keep a steady inflow of doctors who would serve in repayment of the scholarship for a period of time roughly equivalent to the years spent in medical school, dentistry, or nursing school.
Another vital problem is the care of dependents. The military personnel are under more supervision and have less freedom of action than most civilians. They are likely to be ordered anywhere at most any time, and it is natural for them to worry about their families when they have to change their plans suddenly. We are very anxious that a sound plan, fair to everybody, and on our American way of doing things should be worked out.
I think the President has set bipartisanship back considerably in not including Democratic leaders in Congress in consultations relative to the formulation of our foreign policy. Also, I think he set bipartisanship back in issuing statements that the program agreed upon is a Republican program. In the field of foreign policy, in my opinion, we should not have a Republican program nor a Democratic program, but an American program, one that was bipartisan in its formulation and in enactment, one that all of us as Americans can get together and support.